All right, and it looks like we're live, Raquel.
Great.
Um,
Nice to see you,
Hi,
Carlos.
I can see you too. Perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Impact Startup Visa info session. Today, we're going to be going over the Impact Startup Visa program that we offer at Spring Activator, as well as learn more about the services that Canada Startup offers. My name is Carlos, and I'm the Partnerships Manager at Spring. I work with the Impact Startup Visa team to support immigrant entrepreneurs like you learn about our program through our partners. I'm here today with Raquel, CEO and founder of Canada Starthub, but I'll let her introduce herself. Go ahead, Raquel.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm so happy to be here with you and with Spring audience. I am entrepreneur for more than 20 years, and I came to Canada through the Startup Visa program myself in 2019. When I came before the pandemic, it took 2.5 months to receive my landing after I applied the documents. And after that, I realized how important it was to receive guidance and support for other entrepreneurs. My background is in communication and strategic communication and business strategy. So I'm glad to be here to clarify all the doubts from the founders.
Amazing. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen real quick. We've got a few slides that we're gonna go over. We're gonna be quick because we want to get to the questions from the audience. So give me 1 second here. All right, perfect. Yeah, thanks so much, Raquel, for your introduction and sharing more about your background. Um, I'm gonna get us started sharing a little bit more about Spring and our Impact Startup Visa program. Spring Activator is a certified B corporation that exists to change the world through innovation, as you can see on the screen. We have spent the last 9 years empowering entrepreneurs to build better businesses through incubation, acceleration, and ecosystem development. Our investment programs bring together purposeful angel investors and innovative entrepreneurs. By bringing together these impact businesses with aligned investors, we aim to accelerate innovation across Canada. But what we're here today to talk about is our Impact Startup Visa program, which supports immigrant entrepreneurs with the resources and mentorship that they need in order to succeed in launching their business in Canada and support the Canadian economy. We have been running the Impact Startup Visa since 2017. We are an IRCC designated organization, and this program is meant to attract impact entrepreneurs like yourself to immigrate to Canada. Over the past 6 years, specifically, we have supported over 130 entrepreneurs to fulfill their dreams to launch their innovative businesses in Canada. These entrepreneurs come from 32 unique countries around the world, and it continues to grow. So we're really excited for the growth and the interest in the program, and we're here to support you in your journey. One of the things that we get asked quite frequently is about the eligibility criteria. In our program, there are certain criteria that a business has to meet. From an IRCC standpoint, what they're looking for includes primary ownership, which means the applicants need to hold more than 50% of the company's voting rights. They're also looking for Canadian representation in the form of a letter of support from a designated organization, which needs to be issued as part of their support of their application. And that's where we actually come in at Spring Activator. As a designated organization, we are able to grant letters of support to those businesses that meet the criteria that IRCC has set forth for the program. We're also looking for language proficiency. As in any immigration program, we want to make sure that applicants need to show their ability to communicate in English, French, or both languages. And then a few other things that we assess when we're looking at application. We're also looking them and embedding them against four key criteria: innovation, legitimacy, competence, and leadership. Our sprint program is also unique because we focus on supporting impact driven startups, impact entrepreneurs. As such, we're also evaluating companies based on their company on the stage, their ability to deliver impact, and articulating why Canada is a good place to launch their businesses. From an IRCC standpoint, you can go to IRCC's website, enter Startup Visa program to even get more details on the eligibility criteria for them. Our program. So the experience in our incubation program includes a total of 12 weeks with 2 weekly sessions where we go through specific topics from understanding the Canadian business environment all the way through customer discovery, selling, and pitching your business. During the program, it's also very important to note that all entrepreneurs get access to mentorship, guest speakers, and coaching. I also want to mention that we accept applications on a rolling basis, uh, even though we have set starting dates for the cohorts that you go through with for the incubation program. Right now, we're actively recruiting for our cohorts starting at the end of September and October. So you have plenty of time to prepare your application and be ready to be accepted into any of the cohorts that we have starting at the later in the year. With that, I want to hand it over to Raquel so she can share more about how her work supports companies before they even apply to a business incubator like Spring Activator. Over to you, Raquel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carlos. And it's exciting to see that 130 companies already went through this process and were guided by Spring and bring impact solutions to the Canadian ecosystem. This is really exciting and rewarding for us that support those entrepreneurs. When I launched Canada Starthub, my main goal was to guide those companies in their first steps to come to Canada while they are in their home country. Because I realized when I came here how important it was to receive support and be prepared in advance, creating network, creating all things that are possible to do before landing here. So if you can share the next slide, Carlos. One of the things that I realized was that we have online so much information about immigration, about the incubation process, about all the innovation areas in the Canadian ecosystem. But the companies, I think Carlos was disconnected, but I will continue here. So the companies were feeling overwhelmed about filling all those forms, about doing all the paperwork, or even how to assess the incubators, right? Some of them didn't know where to start, with lack of proper guidance, lack of knowledge about requirements, and also losing opportunities and deadlines because they didn't know how to do it. And that's why I launched Canada Starthub. So I guide them through this process since they decide to start planning to come to Canada, how they are going to address their LinkedIn, how they are going to address their first connections, how they are going to introduce themselves, how they are going to build their network in the Canadian ecosystem, what kind of incubator they have to search about. All those things that if we are alone, we might take 6 months of desk research and still feel unsure. And if you have the right guidance, maybe in 1 hour of meeting, you learn all the things you need to start your first steps. You can go to the next slide, Carlos, please. So you can pass this. We already talked about it. Yeah, so what we do, so we start first with an assessment online, and we can help you build your trustable connections, apply for the programs, and present your company in a global way. Because when you are in your local environment, you know how you usually present your company, you have your cultural background in the way you are used to do. But in a global environment, there are a few things that are crucial, the way you present, the materials you show, that not only you are professional, but you show professionalism. You show that you are prepared for the global environment. And this makes a lot of difference in the first impact, right? So you can go to the other one, please. Yes. So what we do, when we address the assessment with the founders, which you can look online in my website, we already know if you have the minimal requirements, as Carlos was saying, about IRCC, about the incubator requirements, and then I can guide you to do the first steps for the application. Some of those first steps are not included in the application form, but they are crucial to see your profile as entrepreneur. For example, when we are in our home country, we talk about our educational background. And for us, it's very known the places we have studied. People that are in the same country, they know about where we graduated, where we had our MBA, or where we worked in big corporations. But in another country, we don't know. These reputational brands that are over us, they are not known in a different environment. So we have to explain those brands. We have to clarify what are them, what are their importance, and this you have to put in your LinkedIn in a different way. So you have to prepare your global profile, thinking about no one knows about your background, no one knows about those brands, no one knows about the companies you worked for, and then you will be better prepared to introduce yourself to a business incubator, right? So all this pre-incubation process, pre-application, we can guide you in Canada Starthub and help you and support you to prepare your application. Not filling the application form for you, but guiding you what kind of expectations Spring has. If you're going to answer, for example, why Canada, what kind of information you have to address about your company needs and your company expectations that are going to address what Spring is expecting from you. So if you are a social impact organization, are you showing that in your application? Are you putting information that gives them confidence that you are a social impact organization? All those information we can review together. We can work in your business plan, in your deck presentation, to be ready and giving you continuous support. You can go through the next slide, Carlos, please. So here I just included some of the things that you have to prepare before applying to Spring, right? So first, analyze your maturity level. If your company is ready to go global, if it's an organization that is scalable, it's a business that has potential to go to other markets, if has an innovation piece, an intellectual property, it's hard to copy from your competitors. If I'm a competitor, it's easy for me to copy next day, like it's something that is unique. Are you showing something that has a competitive advantage that is going to be difficult for the competitors to copy from you? This is crucial. Even if you don't have a pattern, which is not necessary, but you need to show that you have a uniqueness, that you have something that is going to be an innovation in the Canadian ecosystem. And this you can work and showcase in your deck presentation, in your business plan, and in your application. What is your value proposition? And we work in all this before you apply. The third step is to decide the incubator. So, for example, if your company is not an organization that has social impact, is not an organization that sets the requirements that Spring is asking, then you have to look for another incubator. But it's very important to check those criteria because you might fit, and then you have an incredible community to work with, not only the mentors and advisors, but imagine all the organizations that are similar to you from different sectors, but also have impact, that can collaborate and co-create and share challenges, successes, good stories, and best practices with you. So it's a great community where you can share and learn with each other. And then, of course, you go preparing your documents to go to the due diligence and preparing for the selection process interview. What I see when we discuss about the interview and we prepare those founders to not only answer the questions, but know what are the expectations. They have much more confidence and they go more assertive for the interview. Usually the interview is not long, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at most. So you have to be prepared and be there, present in the moment, knowing what kind of things you should highlight about your business. So we do a preparation piece that is crucial for you to reduce your stress and the pressure to go to the interview better prepared. And after the application, what we see in our RCC is that even the companies that went through the 4 months, 3 months of incubation process, they need mentorship after that. They need to show that they are advancing their goals, that they are achieving milestones. And Canada Startup can support you on that, doing maybe once a month a meeting to understand your goals and your milestones, check how you are advancing on them, how we can support you in some of those. And this helps you also to track and show in your reports. If IRCC asks you about your advanced process, you can showcase with the reports that we give to you. In 3 years of launching and supporting those organizations, more than 50 international clients were prepared and applied successfully for business incubators in Canada. So I'm very happy, and this is very rewarding for me as an entrepreneur and coming to Canada to support other leaders to go through the same steps and be successful in their dreams and accomplish their goals here and go global. Carlos, I think that's it. The last slide is if you want to access my website and fill out the free assessment that I have online, I can connect with you and see if you have the criteria and the requirements and give you feedback for free about the assessment. So you just can fill out the form in canadastarthub.ca, and I will be glad to support you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Raquel. I'm going to close the presentation here. Thank you so much. It's really impressive to hear the work that you do with every individual entrepreneur to get them ready and set them up for success. By the time they are ready to apply for an incubator, they're good to go, and their likelihood of being accepted into the program increases quite a bit. So really happy to have you on board as one of our partners and to continue supporting more entrepreneurs that want to come to Canada and fulfill their dreams. Now, for the remaining of the time, we're going to go over some of the questions that have been asked for the audience quite frequently. I believe you have a few questions that you have heard quite frequently from some of your clients. So I'm really happy to answer those questions. I also have a few questions in here for people interested in what Canada Starthub does. So maybe we can alternate and ask each other questions as we go. And then we're going to take a look at the audience's questions as well and address them as they come.
Perfect, Carlos. One thing that I want to mention too is that there is a recent research that shows that companies that are nurtured in a business incubator, they double their chances of success. So this is also something important. Sometimes people think that the incubator is just for early stage organizations, and that's not true. When you come to a different country, you receive all the guidance to amplify your network. You receive guidance from mentors that are a long time in the ecosystem. So they expand much faster your network that you have been building 10 years, 15 years in your home country, and you start from scratch, right? In a new country. Absolutely. So if you are, even if you have traction, if you are in operation in your home country and you come to Canada, if you are an incubator, they also give you all the support with their reputational brand and their advisors to guide you in these first steps and double your chances to survive, right? Because it's a different multicultural environment. So it's not the same as going to a different region in your country, right, Carlos?
Absolutely, it's one thing to do it on your own and kickstart things from the scratch, but it's another thing to have a community backing you up as you build your business, and that's what we're here for as Spring Activator and as part of our incubation program, to support you along the way and provide you with all the connections that you need, access to mentors, guest speakers, and connections with other service providers that are going to help you get there and be successful. So it definitely helps to have a community backing you up.
Well, so about the questions, I have one that my clients always ask, Carlos, that might be interesting to ask you. How long does it take when you start the process, when you are accepted in spring, and applying with all the paperwork and receive your work permit to come to Canada?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The process from application to acceptance of the program really depends on how fast the turnaround is on the entrepreneur's end, with things such as due diligence submission, the interview, booking the interview. But I would say it normally takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get through the process. The paperwork process itself, again, it depends on how fast you can review and sign the documents and return them to us. It could take up to a month. It can take to up to a couple of weeks. Once everything is submitted to IRCC, the process depends on you and the immigration consultant that you are working with to submit your paperwork. One of the things that we ask any of the participants in our program to have is to work with an immigration consultant in their paperwork process. That's very important because they are the experts in all immigration related inquiries, and so it's very important that you have them as support. The immigration process and timeline, unfortunately, is out of our control as a designated organization. So it really depends on how fast IRCC is processing work permit applications on their end. And they do publish wait times on their website that you can take a look at just to get a sense of how fast it's going to be.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. And there is another question in our chat that I believe you can clarify. What's the difference between an incubator and an accelerator?
Yeah, I would say that the difference is mainly in terms of the stage of the business in which you are at. So if you're in very early stages or MVP, then I would say you're more of a fit for an incubator. If you have already generated traction and your business has proven to be successful, you have conducted your customer discovery, and you know that there's a product market fit, then I would say that moves on to an accelerator. We at the moment we offer we cater to either stage of your business. So we're not only here to support businesses that are on the early stages of their entrepreneurial journey, we're also here to support those businesses that have already been successful in their home countries and are now looking to expand their operations into North America and Canada.
That's another thing that is interesting, Carlos, to mention. Some of my clients, they want to go, for example, to Europe or United States or Mexico, and they say, but why Canada? And I always mention that Canada, it is the best place to be your headquarter, your global headquarter, because the government supports with different fundings and grants and opportunities to expand global. So can you share a little bit more about this potential in the Canadian market to expand to other countries?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point, as you mentioned, Raquel. The Canada is seen as a great hub to headquarter your business because it facilitates commerce with our neighbors in the United States, but also we are quite close to other countries, to European countries. So from an international expansion perspective, it's a great place to be. Another thing the government does everything that they can in their power to support entrepreneurs and businesses to expand their operations abroad. Obviously, they do what they can to support you and grow here, but they also want to see you expand your scope and expand your horizons. And so there's also programs already in place that help you navigate the ins and out of exporting your services, for example. There's also grants that allow you to get that extra free support that other organizations are channeling to help expand.
Excellent. Yeah, I was looking some numbers. We have in Canada around 14 agreements in place that opens doors in more than 50 countries. Imagine it's more than 1.5 billion consumers. So if you think about the number of customers in Canada, that could be a small amount. You say, it's not a huge amount of customers, but then when you open doors for 50 countries, the thing changes completely, right?
Absolutely.
And then you have free access to so many markets. We have a question here from one of the audience. He's asking, he's from Bangkok, and he has already set up his company, and he's exporting for the global market, right? And he wants to know if he's able to have an accelerator option. For sure. Of course, we have to analyze all the criteria, not only if he's exporting, but also what kind of business, if it has a fit for the Canadian market, and but if he's in operation, if he has traction, if he has profit, he would go to the acceleration option, right? Right, Carlos?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think as long as the business meets IRCC's criteria for the startup visa program, you're definitely eligible to come here and launch it in Canada. So yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
have
just
a question here for
Carlos,
you.
just to add this information, the only thing that is important to be aware is when you go to a different market, and I'm sure that if you are expanding since 2017, you know that, you might have to adapt, do some changes here in the Canadian ecosystem in North America. So it's good to be in an incubator because then they give you the steps, right? What kind of things you need to adapt, or if you want to do maybe a customer interview to see if they have the same challenges, the same pains, and then you can make a few changes. And if the team is coachable, that makes everything easier, and the mentors and the advisors can help you and support you in those challenges.
And it's actually great that you mentioned that, Raquel, because one thing we're seeing right now in the applications and something that we see sometimes lacking is submitting your application and telling us how your business applies within the Canadian context. How is it going to be successful within the Canadian context? It's very important that we're able to see how your business has also been thought through to be successful in Canada. So think about the industry that you're going to be jumping into once you land to Canada. Like, what are some of the industry trends that might be shaping your business and that could actually impact your current operations? So you have to think through and prepare for those potential changes that you may need to make to your business model. So it's very important that you think about those steps and in changing up your business model, adequating it to the conditions in the Canadian market. I got a question for you, Raquel.
Okay, great.
Someone asks, if I need guidance in order to finish my business plan or my pitch deck, does Canada Starthub have a team to help me?
Yes, of course. What I noticed when I'm discussing the opportunities to apply for a business incubator with founders is that they are in different maturity stages. Some of them already have their deck presentation for the global market. Some are already with their business plan ready, but most of them are not. They have some information from their previous material from their home country, but they need to adapt and be prepared for the criteria that the Canadian market requires. For the deck presentation, there is an order that is expected, showing the main problem you are solving, you are addressing, your solution, and what are your main advantage and value proposition. So there is expectation about how you are going to address those information, the information in your deck presentation. So we can guide you on that. And also in the business plan, sometimes they already have the information from their home country, but they didn't finish their business research about the Canadian market, or it's not in the template that the incubator requires, or you need to make some changes or review the material. So we have consultants that work with us that are very known and great reputation here, and we can support and review those documents, helping the founders to finish the documents with them. But we don't create from scratch. It's important to say that everything is worked with the founders. So they are the hands-on, they work together with us because they are gonna achieve those goals, and they must be the owners of their documents and their whole information, and we just help them and support them with the paperwork. And
Awesome.
One other thing, Carlos, about that, sometimes the companies, they have a great business, but they don't have the innovation piece, or they are struggling to understand how can they include technology on their business to scale better, right? And because we have more than 20 years of experience in entrepreneurship, and we have been guiding other companies through the steps, we know a lot about how we can support and pivot the business, help them doing brainstorming, analyzing how they can better prepare their company to come to the Canadian ecosystem. So sometimes we have to adapt the business before applying.
Yep, very important to note that. I have a question regarding cost, fees, and whatnot. I'm gonna touch base a little bit on the program fees for Spring Activator. Then maybe you can touch base on your fees as well, Raquel. I know that's a question that we usually get. From a Spring Activator perspective, I would say that we have very competitive pricing for the value that we provide in our program. I would encourage everyone to visit our website at spring.is for the most current pricing information, or you can also download our program pack, which includes the detail on the program fees to apply for our incubation. The program fees listed on the website covers pretty much the entire program. We do not charge any additional fees before or after the incubation. However, as I said before, we do require you to work with an immigration consultant or lawyer for your immigration process. And so obviously be aware that those fees would be separate from what we charge for the incubator. And that obviously will be between you and your immigration consultant. And just make sure that you're working with a registered Canadian immigration consultant to file your paperwork properly. I cannot stress enough the importance of that. It's a very complex process. It involves a lot of paperwork pieces that need to be put together, and it's best to have guidance from an expert for those. And then if you opt for services prior to being accepted into an incubator, then that's where Raquel comes in, and she can explain a little bit more.
Yes, thank you, Carlos. And what you are saying is crucial. When I came through the Startup Visa program, I had an immigration specialist consultant registered in IRCC helping me and supporting me. And this is so important because we have a lot of things in our plate, right? It's the family that is coming with us, how to move to another country, your business, all the paperwork. And if sometimes just the form is different, is not updated, you all the process comes back. Or if one document is not lost the deadline, is not in the the format that you need. I remember just the photo has to be an exact size. Just things that you are with so many things to decide. You need an expert to guide you in this all this paperwork. Then you can be um, focus on what really matters, that is your business, right? So this is something that I also address always, because it's sometimes you pay a little more, but it's so worth it, because it's your life that is changing, your business that is expanding. You cannot save money on those things, right? It's
Absolutely.
super important. Regarding my fees, how I work. First, this assessment is free of charge. And then if we see that there is all the requirements, at least the minimal requirements are there, so I schedule a first meeting consultation, which I charge per hour. And then understanding the goals and understanding what the company needs, we prepare a timeline and we work together to achieve those goals. So they know exactly how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost each milestone until they are accepted. So it's a package of services, and it depends, of course, in the maturity level of the company. If they have already all the documents for the application, if they just need support to prepare for the interview, or if they need to prepare from scratch all those documents, so I have to guide and support them in the material and help them to fulfill all the information. So it depends on that. But I would say that the first step is assess the form, fill out the assessment, because then you know if you have the minimal requirements, and then we can go to a consultation meeting and discuss your unique case, because
Mhm.
each business is unique. Your story, your background, you cannot say, I learned from another founder that he did this way or he did that way, because the things are different. Maybe it was in another moment with different requirements. Things change, right? The requirements change, forms change. So I know people that received checklists from previous companies, and then the checklist was different from the IRCC. Imagine they were filling out forms that were not updated, or they had a different background and story. So every story is different, and we receive those clients, listening to them, understanding their needs and goals.
Perfect. I know there's an important question here, and it's an immigration related question. So just be mindful that none of us, not Raquel, not me, are immigration consultants or experts, but I think it's important to address it. And I also want to hear from your experience as after I answer it. It's been answered in the chat, so I'm basically just going to read through the answer that's been provided. But it's basically around the work permit and the PR applications. So the program itself is a program that leads directly to the PR application. However, IRCC recognizes that getting the permanent residency through the program may take time. So there's an option for you to opt for a work permit that allows you to come here to Canada and work on your venture while you wait for your PR to be processed. So the question here was mainly asking about whether us at Spring require startups to apply for a work permit along with the PR. So what I would say is it's not something that we require. However, it's something that we highly encourage. We advise to always apply for the expedited work permit associated with the startup visa program. Because as I mentioned, IRCC designed a program to facilitate qualified candidates to arrive as early as possible, recognizing that the PR process is long. Um, they may not look favorably on applicants who don't take advantage of this expedited work permit, as it may not show eager intent of actually carry forward with the business and what they had applied with. As obviously, as I said, we cannot for sure say that if that's the case, and how it may or may not affect PR applications if you don't apply for the work permit. But our advice is if you can and if you're able to, always up for the expedited work permit to come here sooner rather than later, and not wait too long before you get your PR. Obviously, every case is different. It's something that you will have to evaluate yourself and with your own personal situation. But as far as we know, from a spring perspective, all of our participants have actually followed the general path of getting the work permit first and then waiting on their PR. But I'm keen to hear more about your own experience, Raquel, for our audience,
Yeah,
as you are
I
a
agree with
startup business success as well.
I agree with you, Carlos. What I see is that it's very logical, the process. If I'm a business owner and I want to expand to Canada, I'm not going to wait 2 years to start doing that. Otherwise, my business might change, my goals might change. Maybe the market will address my solution in a different way. So I cannot wait 2 years to start doing business in a country, right? So how do I do that? I can try to do it online. I can try to connect people, possible clients, possible channels, possible mentors. I can create connections through LinkedIn. I can address and create possibilities to have commercial, maybe business development leaders that can work with me online. But sometimes you need to be in person, right? We need to go in events. You need to go in a conference or in person in a meeting, sign agreements, open a bank account, all the things that a business owner needs to do when you are in a different environment, right? So it's very logical, the process, that when you want really to achieve your goals in a next country or next expansion phase, you might need your work permit to really don't have to worry so much about the visa always when you go. Imagine if you have to ask for visa all the time you go, and you cannot be there the time you need. It's very stressing, right? So for me, I always advise my clients to ask for their work permit as soon as they are able to travel to Canada and establish their first connections in person. And if they cannot go right away, then we can create a different path, doing connections online, establishing webinars, participating in events online, receiving guidance, and tracking those milestones with reports for IRCC. So even if they are not here, they have a way to showcase that they are building a community, that they are creating their social media, they are active, that they are interviewing possible customers, that they are signing new agreements, new MOUs. So things that can show that they are doing their homework as business owners, even if they didn't arrive yet. And if they come with their work permit, it's even better, right? Because then they can showcase what they are doing and proving much more these steps during the way, and probably having even better results when you are in person. But the pandemic showed us that sometimes we can do a lot online. We had great experience with entrepreneurs that were not here yet, were not in Canada yet, and they could advance in their milestones while they were in their home country, working on their communication strategy, addressing connections with the right approach, preparing their connections with documents that could really showcase what they are doing and showing that they are serious entrepreneurs. And I believe that the Canadian market also opens a lot of doors. One thing that I learned when I arrived is that if you connect someone on LinkedIn and you ask for 15 minutes in the right way, like really addressing personalized messages, showing how you can collaborate together, the person receives you 15 minutes. And then the next step is the second meeting. So you go for the 15 minutes. And if you are successful, if you show that you really have value to add in that conversation, then you go to the second meeting. So this works if you have the right guidance, and you might achieve many milestones even from your home country.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Raquel. Yeah, it's important to know that the process doesn't stop when you get the letter of support. It doesn't stop when you have already submitted everything to IRCC. You have to continuously work on your business and make sure that you're tracking that progress along the way so that you, whenever someone asks you about your progress, you're able to showcase what you've been working on and how you've been accomplishing your milestones. I also just realized that throughout the presentation, we've been talking about IRCC, but we actually haven't mentioned what IRCC stands for those that don't know. So, for those that don't know, IRCC stands for Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenships Canada, and it's the department of the Canadian government in charge of anything related to immigration. We're here on time already. So I want to thank Raquel for being here with us as a esteemed guest speaker for today's info session. We host monthly info sessions to answer your questions and to share more about our Impact Startup Visa program. We have the next one coming up on July 19th. And in that one, we're actually going to have an immigration consultant come join us and answer your questions for any immigration related inquiries. So once again, thank you so much for being here with us, Raquel.
Carlos, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I liked very much all the engagements from the audience here in the chat. I will be very happy if you connect with me on LinkedIn, and I will be glad also to answer any questions that we might didn't have time to answer here. And I hope I can help you and support you to achieve your goals to come to Canada. It's an exciting place with so many things to learn and collaborate, and it's amazing ecosystem. Next week we are doing the collision conference here. Lots of people coming from all the countries, and we are gonna showcase some of that in our social media profiles, right, Carlos?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm very happy with our partnership, Carlos. Thank you for your support too.
Thank you. We're really excited to have you on board as a partner too. So thank you everyone for your engagement. It was really great to be able to be here, answer your questions. And as I said, we're here to support and help you on your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you so much. Have a great day.